everybody, welcome to Two Wheels of Rainbow, and today I am testing this Tracer 700. So this is a new bike for 2019-2020. I've been meaning to get out on it for a while. It's always kind of caught my interest because of the similarities I suppose it has with the Tenere 700. I did a video on the Tenere 700 I made the video a few months back, and I only actually got around to uploading it a few weeks ago. But yeah, so my RSV4 is in for a service, so I was told I could take a loaner bike, and I took this because I have been meaning to ride it for some time now. Myself and the Grumpy Bike Wizard went out for a spin on it there yesterday, and I obviously couldn't do my opinions because we were talking shite. But I've actually waited for the rain to finish up and the roads to dry up so I could actually get out on this thing and tell you my thoughts on it, because they are very, very, very good. So first off, the engine. As the name would suggest, it's a 689cc twin, similar or perhaps the same to what's in the MT-07 and the Tenere 700. This 700cc engine that they're putting in these bikes, they're torquey little motors for sure. They go, you go up the gears quickly, and the acceleration is good. It's obviously not as fast as a sports bike, but you know, for what it is, it's excellent. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be comparing this bike closely to the Tenere 700. And while I do like the Tenere 700 a lot, it's not the bike for me. The seat is a bit too narrow for my big giant arse. I've never off-roaded a bike, and I can't see myself doing off-road anytime soon. And there's a few other little bits, like where my foot is on the right peg on the Tenere. My shin hits off the clutch case cover. And I wasn't mad on the LCD screen on the Tenere either. Now, this bike has addressed all of those problems. So, as you can see, the screen is kind of a nice, lit up, bright. It's not an LED screen. I think it's a TFT or something or other. I think they're called. I don't know, but it's bright anyway, and it looks a bit sharper. It's the same one I think that's in the Nikon. If you look at my Nikon video, my right foot is situated perfectly. My shin is not touching off the clutch case cover at all. The seating position is very good. The seat itself is very comfortable. It's nice and spongy. The Tenere 700 had a kind of a narrow seat that was kind of a U shape in it, and you kind of sat down into it. And that's understandable given it's a touring bike with off-road capabilities. This is a sports touring bike, and is much more suited to what I would want out of a bike, I suppose. So it's actually getting dark. I wouldn't normally go out now at this time to talk about a bike that isn't mine at twilight, but I'm just so blown away by this bike. I just have to talk about it. I had a look on the Yamaha website about all the peripherals and things that you can get for it as well. So there's a heap of stuff you can get for it. There's Yamaha luggage. There's even more comfortable seats, which I do not think are necessary given the seat that's on this thing, unless this seat is already the comfortable seat. I'm not sure. There's engine guards and spotlights and all kinds of other bits and pieces and stuff and accessories and things like that that you can get. Heated grips is another thing. I don't know if you can get a quick shifter. This bike doesn't have a quick shifter, which is but neither did the Tenere 700. And that's the one thing that's letting it down, I suppose. That, and maybe I'd like maybe a little bit more power, a tiny bit more power. I think this thing has 51 kilowatts, which is about, I don't know, 70, 75 horsepower. I prefer the tyres that this thing comes with as well. So the Tenere comes with off-road capable tyres. This is more street focused tyre, which is good. It just smashes through the speed bumps as well. It's great. You can barely feel that in there at all. And we went out for a spin on this yesterday. Now I can't really go crazy now today because the road is still a bit damp. We went out for a spin on this yesterday, and this thing will take the bends, no hassle at all. The suspension is really, really good on it. You can get an upgraded Öhlins rear shock as well if you wanted from Yamaha. You can get a full Akrapovic system for this as well, which could address the power issue. You might get maybe if you got a full system, which I'm kind of against, given Euro 4 and Euro 5 and emissions and all the stuff David Attenborough is telling us about these days. That it probably shouldn't take the catalytic converter out of the exhaust. Not only is it illegal, but it's, I suppose, frowned upon to some extent now. And then there's the serious slam dunk that this bike has. This bike is 9,750 quid for the base model. Obviously, if you want to get them extras that I was talking about, you're going to be talking about a few more thousand. But I mean, you're going to be paying that for any bike that you're going to be getting extras and stuff on. In terms of the aesthetics of the bike, there's a lad giving the boot. In terms of the aesthetics of the bike, I love the look of the front of it. I love it. Kind of reminds me of the R1 slightly. Just those two kind of big roundy spots at the front of the bike. Here's the guards. Let's feel them around. And it has those kind of nice roundy spots at the front, and then the kind of the flat nose, I suppose. And I like the colour scheme on it too. It's excellent. The blue and grey. I think it comes in three. It comes in blue and grey, blue and red and black. And I genuinely cannot find anything wrong with this bike. This would be so much more suited to my needs and what I want out of a bike over the T7. And how can you go wrong for 9,700 quid? How can you go? There's just no way you can argue with a bike like this for that kind of price. The only thing I'd be slightly concerned about is Yamaha have put this three very similar type bikes together, but tailored for different purposes, I suppose. So it's the MT-07, the Tracer 700, and the Tenere 700. So this bike and the Tracer and the MT-07 are, when you could have this, why would you have the MT-07? I don't know what the price of the MT-07 is, to be honest with you. But, this is brilliant. They've taken a lot of time with the detail in this bike as well. So the handguards, if you can see there, the handguard doesn't actually touch the bar of the bike. Just going to make sure I don't hit the cyclist. The wind guards for the handlebars, and then the LED indicator is actually underneath that, as far as I'm aware. So, it's those kind of nice little touches and that are good. The screen is adjustable, it can come up and down. I think you have to give it a pull though, that's the only thing, but that's no big deal. You can get bigger screens off Yamaha as well. There's just a whole host of stuff, a whole host of boxes that this thing ticks, and I'm completely sold. Genuinely, I am completely sold on this. This would be very close in terms of what I'd be looking for as to the Africa Twin, which I have a video of that up. I'm hoping to have a video of that up by the time this one is up. But the thing about that Africa Twin is, for the spec I'd like, with all the bits, I like to buy my bike fully spec'd. If that spec is low but fully spec'd, that's grand. But I wouldn't like to buy a bike that is not fully spec'd. So, for example, in the case of the Africa Twin, you'd be talking the sport model, and with the DCT. Now, that bike is 20 grand. Okay, this does 95% of what that bike will do. Okay, that Africa Twin, as far as I'm aware, has an 1100cc engine and has about 105 horsepower. This has 70 odd horsepower, so 30 less roughly, and it's actually also a bit lighter. I think the dry weight of this is about 180 kilos. Oh, it's quite light. So, 10 grand. Is the Africa Twin worth 10 grand more than this bike? I don't think so. The Africa Twin, again, I suppose, would give you that, look at this fella, off-road ability that this bike definitely would not have. Okay, the Tracer, without a doubt, has not have any off-road ability at all. Whereas the Africa Twin and the T700 and the Tracer and the Tenere 700 would. But I don't go off-road. Even when I've been on holidays, I haven't gone off-road. If I was on holidays somewhere with the Grumpy Bike Wizard, I'd say the chances of us going off-road are remote. Especially with him, because his bike is the guts of 20 grand. The only thing that might compete with this slightly would be the Tracer 900 GT. But again, that bike is, I think that's a few grand more than this. I think that's around 15 grand. And it has basically everything this has. I think it has a quick shifter as well. But apart from that, their spec can be brought up to the same level across the board, with the exception of the quick shifter and the dashboard. 5 grand, really. And the other thing about the Tracer 900 is it's been around a while now, and it is likely that the Yamaha will potentially do a big upgrade on that model in the not too distant future. And the way the market seems to be going anyway is towards these smaller capacity torquey bikes rather than 1000cc or approaching 1000cc machines, in terms of I suppose sport touring and naked and street bikes. But yeah, this bike is brilliant. This is really, really, really good. And this bike actually has a 17 litre fuel tank. So this thing can go far with a 700cc engine. This thing will be going very far. So for touring, it's perfect. And there is a bit of poke in it. The top end isn't there because it's just a 2-cylinder 700cc motor in it. The top isn't there. Like, you're not going to be breaking any land speed records on this thing. But, I mean, if you're doing the twisties in the mountains, that's not going to matter at all. Unless you're God on a motorcycle. I think the gears are close together as well. So I'm actually in 4th gear now, doing 50k at 3,500 RPM. So yeah, it's excellent. It's really good. This bike is less than 10 grand. It is an awful lot of bike for 10 grand. Like, I was worried when I got on this. I was thinking that 700cc engine, there's just not going to be enough in it for me. And it's just not the case. It is not the case at all. The bike feels really light, really, really light. And there's a lovely gurgle out of the engine as well. Actually really like the noise of it. Really like the noise of it. It looks like the power to me is between 3,000 and 5,000 RPM, roughly speaking. And we had this thing on the motorway as well. There's no vibrations at all through the bars. Like, it's very, very, very balanced and smooth, I suppose, whatever way they've mapped the engine. It's really, really, really good. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this video about this Tracer 700 and my test ride and my thoughts about it. It is most excellent indeed. And I will catch you on the next one.